This is Justin Scoop, October 3rd, 2025. Taking a look at SPX, and the high mark is on the screen again. We hit 67.50 today. So I was just talking about that, I think yesterday, maybe the day before. 67.50. We should get there. We did, and then like slow rollover. So we zoom in on the 3 minutes. So let's just kind of paint the picture for today. Get the tool working. Okay, so we did do some gapping down. Ran up, got a couple bear candles down, continue to run up. Really nice stair step here, continue on up, bigger kind of stair step or flag, another rally. And then that's where we started to go really sideways. That was not a sideways drawing. Really sideways. Come on, sideways. There you go. And put in that high. And then just kind of started to slowly chop down a little. Had some bear candles, which the last couple of days this was happening, but then we got the rally. In this case, we really, really petered out. And this is more of like a bear flag. These really large bear candles. I don't know if there was news or something. This was right at 1 o'clock Central. I'm sorry, 1 o'clock Eastern, noon Central. And, it looked like, okay, maybe it's going to recover like it's been doing. Like we're just going to go off to the races. Nope, didn't happen. I got too many things drawn on here in the way. Okay, so those three bull candles, and we didn't really even retest back to the low. That started to roll over, kind of going stair stepping down, and then more collapsing. This breakdown took out the open low. We did do a nice little double bottom here. Pull back on that candle, rallied up, and stalled at the 100, and kind of mostly went sideways to down for the rest of the day. There wasn't too much going on here. I mean, it jumped around a bit. There's definitely a distinct channel there. But yeah, that's about how the day went. I guess this being a double bottom, that is a neckline retest like that. So you could have been buying over here. It just didn't get going too far. The best place to be in this was buying really, really inexpensively down here, uh, right here, because it already put in this low, and then just riding that up. And I had an entry here that filled, and then I had a target that was about right here that didn't hit. Um, Hindsight, probably should have had that target a little bit closer. Should have been basing it on something here, exactly here, like this retest of this low and getting into this price range. That's just not how I set it up. So, and then I was busy doing stuff and I didn't see it till it was somewhere over here, I think. And yeah, so it's like, okay, maybe we'll get this move back up. Nope, that didn't happen. So lost on that one. Yeah, it did end up being lost because when I saw it, it was like break even. It's like, okay, I don't want to get out for break even. And then it just chopped away over here. Anyway, that was a trade that I was in bullish, but it had a great fill over here. Let's see. For the calls, this is the 67.50. So the open price, we took out the low of the open here, and then we got going. Pulled back, didn't really get an entry at a nice dollar amount other than $2. Let's see, the low here is 1.7, the low here was 1.47, the low over here was 2.2. So, it wasn't one of those to buy it at one, wasn't one of those. I mean, you could have bought it two, but it really came all the way down to about 1.5. So, just not a clean setup on the 67.50. But one thing to be looking at in this, and sometimes the options kind of tell the story before it happens, but this was a high, and then we didn't actually make it back up to the same high right here. And so that I think can also contribute. Just reading the option price, that contributed to, okay, this isn't going to keep going. The 6750, we got, I think it was that candle on SPX 3 minute that we actually got into the all-time high with the 6750 and change. But we were actually higher over here just because of the explosive movement, the premium baked into the option. So again, just kind of reading the options, seeing how they move. That's the whole point of this. And then with that rollover, this was really cool just to see this. I missed this bearish trade, but 67.25 actually put in a low of one right here and a low of one on the next candle and a low of 1.05 and a low of 1.05, a low of 1.5. So 1.05 seemed to be the low for a bunch of this. Let's see. Yeah, 1.05 on all of these. So that's tough. That I can get a little closer on this. That you if you were seeing this and seeing it come into this price, buying for $1, it would have, I mean, it would have worked here, having that set up around 11 a.m. Central. Went sideways, you could have easily moved your entry a little bit, 1.25, and had to stop at 0.25, something like that. That would have been a nice setup. And then, once this started to roll over, these were those two massive candles were rolled over. This retested quite a bit further, this put, but then really got going. Uh, an easy entry or an easy exit would have been around the open price or this retest price, like 10 or 11. And then it kept on going from there. It actually put in a high of 21.35. So if we look at that zoomed out now, um, I think there was at least a low risk setup to get in bearish up here, even though it did make an all-time high. And that's something I try not to get in bearish when it's making an all-time high, because I've lost so many times doing that. But I think the whole picture of, hey, we made this quick high. Okay, we made this high. All right, it didn't pull back as much. We made another high. Is it going to keep going? Like this is not continuing to push up as strongly. Just the angle that this is at and the angle here, it wasn't. I would expect it to do something like that and come back up to here and then chop this way. And it didn't get that high. It probably hit like the midline through here, something like that. Obviously, I could have drawn that in with just the channel, but just for the idea of it. So I think that would have been a good signal to say, okay, get in bearish over here somewhere once it's broken down that uptrend. And that would have been buying it like 1.10 or 1.20 or something like that. A little more than $1 on this option. Or you could have gone out to 67.20 and that would have worked to buy for $1 all the way over here. Could have just bought for $1. Didn't quite go as high, but still, like, what's your actual target? Yeah, you could totally target 8 and get out at 8, or, maybe you reload a little bit when it does this pullback. It comes back down to 1.25. Maybe you buy a second one there, and then you're going to get out as it starts moving up and just hold, let it run. Once it takes out the low, it's like, okay, it's got some room. Let's see on the daily. Was there anything? I guess yesterday's close price, that would have been a nice price to aim for. That was 67.15. 67.15 was right here. That would have been a great target. It pushed past, but it's really hard to actually, get out at the low when you're shorting. So back over here. So we got two bear candles in a row. Nice upper wick here. We had an upper wick on this candle, a couple of these candles, some upper wicks. We haven't put it in this large of an upper wick in a little bit, especially at an all-time high. So something's different. We definitely got some selling, obviously selling because we have a bear candle, but I mean, it feels different that we put in an all-time high and then had a really big upper wick. So here's one right here. That was an all-time high though. Maybe this one or these. So this is going back to July last year. We gapped up this day, gapped down. That's a trapping. That's a definitely trapping bulls. And then we did some selling off. So that's actually interesting because that is way over at the other end of this uptrend. So that was where this all started. That's the pricing I got in here. So something to just kind of keep an eye on, where I have this uptrend drawn. those upper wicks there. And then here's one where we did kind of go sideways and then continue to move up. So here's an upper wick, all-time high. So, I'm not saying it's definitely selling off. This move would kind of support that. But it definitely doesn't have to do that. I think, well, we'll see next week. Monday should be telling you if we've still got the strength and we continue to make another all-time high. If we sit inside of this candle, that's a rest. Um, but if we get a bullish candle, kind of like that one back there, and then we end up gapping down, I think there's going to be a bigger pullback coming in. But yeah, I would look for something where to go like this. I think I think having a bull candle like this, another all-time high, and then if we take that out Tuesday, Wednesday, I think there's an opportunity to do some selling early next week, or at least mid next week. If we can retest, bounce off the 21 and keep going up, great. If it starts to roll down like this did, I think there's some opportunities to go bearish. So that's just a comparison to look back on. We've got a long ways down to the 21. I was talking the other day about, hey, if the 21 can come up a little bit higher to the midline here, I think that would help to stay in this upper half of the uptrend channel. There's definitely another angle here. Just if you connect these highs, maybe it connects with some of the lows. I don't know. But anyway, that's definitely something to draw on your chart and kind of see how things are lining up. And we'll see how things are moving next week. All right. Hope this helps. This is Justin. Thanks.